All right, folks. Oh boy. This is my message on dumb churches with entertainment. Okay, I want to be careful here. Holy, holy, holy is the Church of God. But I don't like entertainment services. Okay? I don't like entertainment services. And we're walking a fine line these days between entertainment and true God-seeking. You know, you got to go back. I'd like to focus on sanctuary and the actual building itself. Okay. You go back to the tabernacle of meeting in the time of Moses and Joshua, and essentially it was a sanctuary of silence where people would go to seek the Lord, and that's what waiting on the Lord is. You're in a silent place. It's called the sanctuary, and you lie there, or you kneel there, or whatever, and you stay there in silence, listening for the personal voice of God. And that's what churches are supposed to be, first and foremost. Okay. But you start from like way back then when silence and hearing the personal voice of God and silent worship was the activity of the sanctuary, all the way up to our modern generation now, and it's disgusting. There's nothing but a bunch of hoopla. I've been in churches where they had dry ice machines. Like it's insane. Like it's so retarded. You kind of laugh at first, but then you're like, this is sacrilege. Like this is absolute madness. It's distracting people from the personal voice of God. Or the volume is too loud. You know, you got people screaming in the microphones. It's crappy entertainment. It's distraction from God is what it is. Okay. God doesn't need you to scream words at Him. That's not worship. He doesn't even need you to sing words at Him unless you really feel like doing that. I'm of the strong persuasion that God would prefer for you to be silent and listen to Him out of great respect when you go to the house of God. Okay? The word listen equals the word silent using the same letters. Listening, I believe, is the number one love language. If someone is incapable of listening to me and respecting what I have to say, then I'm not going to feel hardly any love towards them, to be honest. Because listening is the number one love language. And Jesus told us that in the Mary and Martha story. And Solomon himself said, when you draw near to the house of God, keep your mouth shut and listen. That's what you're supposed to do when you go to the house of God. And God called Solomon like the wisest man who ever lived until Jesus. So, but I don't go, I cannot even start to think about attending any church where the leader is not massively promoting silent time alone with God as the most satisfying activity for mankind. I'm sorry. It's just a giant show. It justifies people's paychecks, which is quite gross, but that's usually the subconscious process that happens in these churches. Subconsciously, they're like, well, we need to offer something to the people coming in order to justify the fact that we have jobs here and get paid from the offering. So we need to make a fancy presentation. Pastor needs to look nice. We need good. Now they're spending money on lighting, good music, good musicians, good sound system, and it's all this fancy presentation and stuff that you need to spend money on, and it's all like, okay, why aren't the people being encouraged to spend personal time alone with God? Okay. Anywho. Probably because if they did, they would get their total satisfaction, and they wouldn't feel the need to come to this entertainment fest anymore. So it's really bizarre what's happening out there. I almost feel like I want to segue into a far more general message on satisfaction. Me preaching messages like this it might sound like I'm being critical, but I'm being critical because I care about wise choices. And I see things that are completely not satisfying. And I can preach about these things because I went through that junk. And I used to think that that stuff was the schnitz. And that that stuff was actually good and like the best thing we could do before God. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not satisfying compared to silent time alone with the Lord. And and it's just not satisfying. And it's not really that righteous. And so you're just like, I just get tired. You know, you kind of feel like a father to some ways that sees his children out there choosing things and doing things that aren't satisfying. And so one starts to express oneself on videos like this, being like, why are you doing that? Like, this is really a poor idea. Okay. There's simply not enough silent seeking of God in church buildings. It's unbelievable. You know, they say we are suffering from a loneliness epidemic in modern culture, and I believe it. It's absolutely true, but that is because people are disconnected from God. If you are with God, you are never alone. Okay, I want to break that lie off of some people's lives that they think, honestly, women in particular, think that they need a boyfriend or they think that they need a spouse in order to be fulfilled and be blessed by God. Not true. Like, you are never alone with God. You are never alone. In fact, most of the time, God will chase you away from human relationships in order to finally get you alone. Here's a classic telltale sign that God is trying to get you alone. If you have had numerous frustrations with human relationships in your life, either just today, recently, just stop and think about it. Have I had, God is sovereign, and whatever He's doing in your life, He's trying to get you to do something that He wants. It's like, have you had numerous frustrations with human relationships in the past while? I guarantee you, God is trying to get you alone. He's trying to get you to that place where you finally throw up your hands and say, I am done with seeking another human relationship. I am spending silent time with God alone, and I'm not leaving until I get my satisfaction. And God says, finally, she got it. Finally, she got the goods. Finally, she's got set free from all the phony lovers. Finally, she's doing the good thing and the satisfying thing. Okay? So, when I preach critical messages, it's for a reason. You know, anytime Jesus told us not to do something, it was for our highest satisfaction. We stupidly think that he's robbing us of some kind of happiness when he tells us to do that. Not so. He's actually we just believe lies about what happiness looks like and what it is. Okay? So I honestly encourage you to take an experiment. You can never go wrong by experimenting, trying something. Why don't you take a week? If you're able to do this, you know, people do retreats for this, but take a week where you can tell people, say, and the Bible even talks about this, take a week where you actually, if you need to tell people to feel comfortable, go ahead. Take a week where you don't answer your phone and you don't cultivate human relationships at all. And instead, spend silent time alone with God, listening for His personal voice in your prayer closet. And see what God does in your life throughout that week, and then make an honest conclusion. Be totally honest with yourself. At the end of the week, say, do I feel happier in life having done what I did this week as opposed to what I used to do, where I was cultivating human relationships, I was getting back to my boyfriend quickly, I was trying to get that guy, I was trying to get that girl, I was, you know, just spending all my time in my own thoughts, and it wasn't, okay. So, anywho, the term vertical church comes to mind. It's like people desiring God, not desiring a social club. And yeah. All right. Alrighty, whitey, whitey, whitey. You know, you have to summarize it very quickly. People suck compared to God. You have to summarize it really well. Like, and just say it candidly. It's like, you know what, folks? As cool as we all are, and this is the great temptation of all teachers, all preachers, and all spiritual leaders for all time. They know a few things about the Bible. They stand up in front of people. They start teaching things. They realize that people like looking at them and people are learning. And they also realize that they like attention from human beings. And there's some nice pleasure happening there. But no one ever stops and says, I hate to break it to you folks, but all of this humanism, this human relationship, is as nothing in pleasure compared to each one of you individually spending silent time alone with God in your personal prayer closet. Why aren't any preachers saying that? Probably because they don't want to give up their little worship pedestal. I'm being serious, folks. This is crazy. Like, it's almost like people take, you know, you can take worship unto yourself. If you're accepting eyeball time from all these people, and you are some kind of, you know, imparter of truth, or, you know, you're just taking the floor and they're all looking at you and you're just, you know, enjoying it all and like, yeah, I'm the man. You're just like, that's basically what Satan was, don't forget. The most beautiful angel that wanted to be worshipped by everyone. You're just like, if you are any kind of spiritual leader, or if you're any kind of father that is actually going to be pointing people to the true water at the well and where what they actually should do with their time, you'd be saying, you know what, folks, I hate to break it to you, but there's no one in this room. Like, it's like, you never hear a message like that where someone stands, well, you're hearing one right now, where they stand at the front and say, folks, I hate to break it to you, but there's no one in this room that is going to satisfy you. All of us need to spend personal silent time in our prayer closet with God. And that's where we're going to get our satisfaction. Okay? And if everyone takes care of that, I guarantee you, now this is so cool. If everyone takes care of their private prayer closet with God with ample, generous time in silence before the Lord regularly, God would bless people's human relationships like they wouldn't believe. Like, first of all, you would be so full of love. They would be so full of love. Everyone would be so full of Holy Ghost, pure God love as a result of their personal prayer closet, that when they do come out in human land and business land, public land, trading land, and all these human interaction lands, it's going to be very pleasurable, and it's going to be very harmonious, and it's going to be very fearless, and it's going to be very, very divine. Okay? But what I'm saying is we have missed the biggest piece of the puzzle. And and it brings so much pleasure to God. I can't stand people that, yeah. So, and it's not a means to an end. It is the end. Like, that is the pleasure of God. All right. I'm almost done preaching my heart out today. Maybe a few more comments. Yeah, so I hate seeing people follow stupid people. I hate that. I hate seeing people follow stupid people. Probably because I do have a passion for people's true satisfaction. And I'm like a father, like watching children go astray. It's like, you're not going to find happiness there. Like, that's not what you're looking for. So please stop going there. Honestly, things are pretty cheap these days. There's not a lot of spiritual endeavor. I wrote on my phone, no one is great anymore. Where is greatness? Like King David experienced true greatness. Okay. So did King Solomon, so did Paul the Apostle, so did many of the people of the Bible. There's just not a lot of greatness, I feel, amongst people these days. There's not enough depth. And yeah, people are obsessed with crap, just dumb merchandise. Truly, I seek the presence of the Lord. You know? You know, it's kind of fascinating to me. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if people were actually capable of getting silent before the Lord again? If they ever were? Like, in large numbers, I mean. Like, can you imagine a gathering? Because I've been to prayer meetings where there's small amounts of people, and it's awesome. It's paradise. Holy reverence. But when was the last time you were in a large crowd of people and they were all practicing silence before the Lord? And it was like the holiest act of humankind that we never saw. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, when have I ever seen a crowd of people larger than like 100 strong that were comfortable kneeling in silence in worship before the living God for any holy length of time? It's unbelievable. Like, how many people just can't stop blabbing? Unsatisfying junk. All right. Honestly, I think the internet, this is pretty neat, you know. I think the internet is, I always like seeing things through God's eyes. And I think the internet is God's gift and is a great place for people to share truth in a safe place. Like, the fact that we have YouTube, and this video could be on YouTube, and anyone can watch this video in the comfort of their home, in total safety. They can turn me off or on whenever they want. And there's a sense of safety because there's distance. Like, I'm not standing right next to you. I'm not like a preacher in the pulpit that is like, you know, intimidating because I'm, you know, close by and physical, you know. It's like there's this digital realm. There's this concept, there's this video and internet that we can just post our ideas on and our thoughts on and our findings from the Lord on, and people are free at their own leisure to explore and investigate whatever they want and turn it on and turn it off. So it's pretty cool. I think more people are sharing things online, and it's all good. It really is healthy. I encourage you to go ahead and blab as much of your mind on video as possible and throw it out there. I actually am doing it as an experiment on, you know, the Bible talks about being satisfied by the fruit of your lips. And, I think it's actually really healthy for people to like preach. Just everyone should be a preacher. I really think it's healthy to be a preacher. Preach on video and upload it to the internet. Anything that you can. All right. So, essentially we graduate from dead things, dumb things, unsatisfying things. And we want to see the kingdom of God come with power. Alrighty. Well, I think I'm satisfied with what I preached on tonight. It was fun. It was actually really therapeutic. Oh boy. It's fun preaching against stuff that annoys you. Alright. I think I've had my fill.